Now that the installation is finished, we've rebooted the machine, we can continue with installing VC-4. Please download the latest version of VC-4 from the product page on Crestron.com. We will be installing VC-4 through command line, but rather than using the command line on the actual machine, I like to use an SSH client. I'll be using MobaXterm, which is an excellent SSH client with file transfer capabilities built in. But to connect to this machine, I need its IP address. And one way to get it is to locally log into this machine once, issue an IP command, and get the IP address that way. So we'll be logging in with the previously created username and password, and we can issue an IP space A to get the IP address. In my case, 192.168.1.135. With that IP address, we can use any SSH client to connect to this machine and interact with it from our laptops. Using MobaXterm, we click on SSH, we fill in the IP address. We can already specify the username if we want to, and we have to keep the port at 22, which is the SSH port. So we can click on OK and log into the machine. As I mentioned, we'll have to get the VC-4 installer file onto our Linux machine. There's a couple of ways to do that. You can use a USB drive. You can use any tool that you have like WinSCP to transfer the file. But when using MobaXterm, it's as easy as taking the file and dragging it into the file transfer window to copy it onto our machine. Now that we have the file on the machine, we need to unzip it and we can start the installer. But since I installed a minimal operating system in my installation, the unzip command is not available. So we have to install the unzip package first before we can continue. We can do that with a sudo yum install unzip. And we can install the package. Now that unzip is installed, we can unzip our VC-4 installation file. And we notice that there's a new folder being created called VC-4. So we can enter it. And we can see that we have a couple of files available. And one of these files is our installation script, install vc4.sh. We can execute this script to start the installer, but keep in mind that we need to do this as a user with root privileges. So either we start this installer as the root user, or we use the sudo command to start the installer. So you will see a couple of packages being downloaded and installed that are necessary for VC-4. This is going to take a while, and after this step, there will be a wizard-like way of configuring a couple of options for your VC-4 installation. Now that the first step of the installation has completed, we need to answer some questions to finish the installation. When you are migrating VC-4 from another build, which is an older Ubuntu-based build, you'll have to answer yes, so you can import your database file here. For new installations, you can press no and continue on. The default VC-4 installation path is in the /opt directory, and I would advise you to keep it the same. So we can just press enter to continue with the default value. Some files were copied, and now we can continue on. Again, we'll be keeping the default value here, so we can just press enter. Now we'll have to enter the root user password for our database. This is important, so make sure to remember this password. The name for the database, we'll leave it default, so virtual control, press enter. The name for the database user account, again, default. The password for our virtual control user to connect to the database, which the default is a random string, which is absolutely fine. So we can leave it as well. Certificates were installed. We're almost done with the installation here. And there we are. Installation is done. We're back in the console, and now we can go and open the VC-4 web UI.